More than 40 people have been killed in another week of anti-coup protests in Myanmar. The military is accused of shooting protesters in the head, killing them instantly this week. Women and children are among the dead. The Burma Human Rights Network is now calling on the international community to act swiftly against the violence perpetrated by the Myanmar security forces against non-violent protesters. It says the country is violating several of its human rights, people's human rights, and should be prosecuted for the crimes. Let's talk more about this. Then I'm joined by the organization's founder and executive director, Cho Win, who's joining us by Skype tonight. Good to speak to you, Cho Win. So there's already been discussions going on at the United Nations about the crisis in Myanmar. We saw the representative of the country being fired after he made a plea to the member countries to act against what's going on there. That hasn't stopped the violence. In fact, it's got worse this week. What is it going to take to bring the country out of this crisis?
Hi, thanks for having me today here. You see, this is a very important situation in Burma now. And the problem here is, UN Security Council, whenever we try to that path by UK and US and other countries, the problem is that China and Russia is the stumbling block. They make sure that UN Security Council ended up doing nothing. So this is a very important time now to save civilian lives from that barbaric, fascist military. Important is now we are asking the international community, urging international community to intervene, to stop, to save those lives. But since 2 days ago, the way they are cracking down is very changed. They're not killing anyone, but they try to crack down violently. They're creating the security forces are creating fear and panic among the people. And just few minutes ago, before we start our interviews, there had been a raiding in central downtown Burma, Rangoon, the capital of Burma, capital state Burma. There are several people are now, they're shooting towards residential buildings and randomly. So this is the creating, this is a crime, but also they are creating fear among the people not to come out to the street.
And when you hear claims that some of the military officials have in fact deployed snipers who are shooting directly at demonstrators, making sure that they hit them in the head, that does not sound like a normal law and order enforcement operation. It sounds like it's very deliberate, quite intentional. But given what you've raised now and the situation since the coup in early February, do you have any hope that those responsible for killing protesters will face any form of justice?
You see, the head of the coup, who is the general, he has facing genocide accusation on in 2017. He is the one who ordered to kill and rape and burn alive the Rohingya Muslim in Rakhine State in Burma in 2017. So now there is a case. You may have heard about it. It's very well known. And Gambia, one of the African states, dragged Burma to ICJ, and Burma is now, before this, they feel that they are immune. But when one African country has dared to do this, the world is now applause how the Gambia has done, and we as a minority, we are also very grateful for this. At least someone is responding on our call, and this is the same general who is the coup the power now. So you can imagine that how they are ruthless, how they are barbaric and cruel, and they are brutally killing these young people. They are now, 18, 19 years old, 16 years old. Some they have been shot and in their head.
And the argument
they're just practicing their democratic rights.
My apologies there, Cho. When the argument has been, though, from some scholars, has been that nothing will come right in Myanmar as far as the lengths to which the military can interfere in the politics and seize power as it's done now, because the Constitution allows them to do so. Even when Aung San Suu Kyi's government was in power, the military, to a degree, still called the shots. What are the chances that there can be, at this stage, an overhaul of Myanmar's constitution?
Right now, people in Burma, they are fed up. They said that no, enough is enough. Let them kill if they want. We will going to end this. Now, we have 4 demands. And abolish the 2008 constitution, which is drafted by the military to make sure they control the power. And the second thing is to end all military interference into politics. Third is to form a democratic federal democratic state. and the fourth is release all the politicians. So it means this fourth demand is, we are putting in more than above our life, and we are demanding it. But the problem here is when this fascist military, they are practicing the barbaric and cruelties on the civilians. That means it is moral duty for the international community to intervene. But unfortunately, we are seeing that some of the neighboring countries who are still supplying with the arms and some supplies to the military. So we are calling for international arms embargo against Burmese military.
In the interim then, Chowin, I'm interested to get your thoughts here because, like we were saying, there's been a discussion at the United Nations level. There have been some countries that have announced levels of sanctions against the military leaders in Myanmar. We're seeing these demonstrations now deadly, more than 40 people killed in 1 week. Will it ultimately take the people of Myanmar to liberate themselves? And secondly, what happens between now and a year, February 2022, which is when the military had said it would allow for elections to take place?
So we are rejecting that. This election should, because they have to hand over the power to the government, democratically elected government. And the way they have actually, the reason the coup happened is the general who cooked the power. He has been accused. He has the accusation of committing genocide, and he has to retire this year. He is forced to retire this year because the president is not extending his terms. So that means he will lose his position, and he feels that he will be vulnerable if he doesn't hold any power. And in order to protect himself and also protect his illegally obtained wealth from the country, from the stealing from the country, he need to be in the power. So that's why he cooked the power and to protect himself and to protect his wealth. But the point here is when civilian people are determined and resilient and they are not backing down, even though you see a few days ago there were so many people who have been killed, deployed snipers. People are defying that. They are not buying it. So they are, they are throwing themselves, their life at risk to get the democracy and to get the human rights.
Can they keep this up though for another year, the demonstrators?
I mean, they will have to go up as much as their capacity. But the point here is when this kind of uprising take longer, there is another danger that the country will collapse its rule and regulation and law and order, and then the country could fall into chaos. And we are afraid that the Burma become another Syria.
All right, on that sobering note, Burma Human Rights Network founder and executive director, Chowin, good to speak to you, sir. Thank you.